Hi, this is How to Get Your Shit Together with me, Sue Wright. Today we're going to talk about Achilles heels, or specifically we're going to start with my Achilles heel and then we're going to talk about finding yours and what to do with it. So in case you haven't brushed up on your Greek mythology lately, the story of Achilles is that this warrior, when he was an infant, was dangled into the river Styx by his mother. She held onto his heel and dunked him fully in the river to make him immortal, to make him invulnerable. And consequently, where she had hold of him by the heel became his weak spot, his actually caused his death in the end, according to mythology. So there you go. So your Achilles heel is a weakness in spite of overall strength. Okay, that was on the internet as well. So it is, we all have a bit of an Achilles heel. We may have several Achilles heels, but it's not something that we should be stressed about. Okay, so I've spoken to you before about learning to discover your strengths and working to your strengths, but I think it's also really important to get to know what your Achilles heel is, or your Achilles heels. So mine came up and bit me on the butt at the weekend. I had been working on a business plan. Now I will give you a bit of a backstory. I won't waffle too long because I'm sure you're not bothered to hear all my stuff. But I was working on a business plan in order to secure a commercial mortgage to buy some land. Okay, now the land is for me and my horses and my animals, where I can run my business somewhere peaceful and quiet. But the driving force behind buying the land is because I have a need to create a facility where young adults with, they call them special educational needs in this country, but it's young adults with autism, with dyslexia, with anxiety problems, with confidence issues, can come and be nurtured and helped to find their niche, their place in the world. It's not a petting zoo. It's not where they come and pat a pony and then that's it. I want them to work. I want them to figure out where their strengths are, where their passion is, because quite often these kids are just passed through the education system. They are in the junior school, they're in one particular group, in the next level up they're put in a separate group, and then they go to college, and then all of a sudden they're thrust into the adult world and they have no skills, and they exist, they don't live. And I want these kids to live with a passion and a drive and with their own amazing uniqueness. So that is what this project is all about. So as you can tell, I'm very, very passionate about it. I think there's a need for it, and because I'm passionate about it, this is where my Achilles heel starts to sneak in. Now, because of the work that I do, I was also very aware of this vulnerability starting to creep in on me, okay? And the vulnerability, it was basically the gist of it, am I good enough? Am I good enough to run my businesses, to warrant getting a mortgage, to buy some land, to run this project? So there are quite a few kind of am I good enoughs in there. So I did some work over the weekend on myself. I really kind of honed in on it. I checked in with what my vulnerability was. I also did a bit of work around, is it true? Because this is the thing that you have to do, is when you're feeling that vulnerability kicking in, first of all, recognise it. We are human. Every single one of us will have a weak spot. There will be something that somebody can press your buttons and start to make you doubt yourself. And that's what happened towards the latter part of the weekend, is one or two people who are pretty close to me started to question my ability, question whether I had the income, question whether I had the skill set, which in hindsight is bonkers, because I've been doing this for years. I've run profitable businesses for years. I do have the skill set. I do have the drive to do it. But those negative voices from other people were enough to start to chip away again and have a little bit of a wobble, just a little bit. I'd kicked my butt back out of it. But it is trying to recognise, first of all, what is your vulnerability? When push comes to shove, what are the first things that you think about? I think I've mentioned it before, that often the biggest fears are fear of not being enough, so being not good enough, or fear of not having enough, okay? So that fear of not being good enough where does it actually stem from? Can you think of the actual reason that made you think you weren't good enough? And is it actually a fact? Is there a sequence of events that proved you were not good enough? Or is it that you allowed other people to chip away at your confidence, your self-belief, which then made you question whether you were good enough? Not the fact that you actually were achieving and are perfectly capable, but set that question in your mind. Does that make sense? So it's other people often who can make us feel that we are not good enough, that we don't have the skills. So you need to do a fact check. You need to look at what your weakness is, your vulnerability, your Achilles heel, and try and establish some facts around it. So for me, am I good enough to run my businesses? Well, yes, I've been doing it for years and I'm still got a roof over my head. So fact check. Have I got the skill set to drive the new project forward? Yes. Fact check. Okay. Have I built businesses up from absolutely nothing? And I'm not just talking in a business, I'm talking of concepts. One of my arms of my business is rider biomechanics and equestrian Pilates. And I built that concept from scratch. I really did. I analysed the riders and worked my way through it, and I built it from scratch. And I have books published on the subject now. So fact check. No, I'm perfectly capable. And I think what we've got to be careful of is allowing other people to tweak us to fit what makes them feel comfortable. Okay? And therefore creating this vulnerability that we don't have. Okay? Every time you make a little bit of a change for somebody else, you give them a little bit of your personal power. And I'm not on about being on a big power trip. I'm just on about allowing yourself to believe in yourself. Because every time you let somebody else chip away at you, make a subtle little change to you, make you question yourself, you are giving away a little bit of your personal power to them. Now, giving away a little bit of your personal power doesn't seem like much, but when it starts to build up, and when you change yourself to fit in with one person, with several people, then that starts to create these deep-seated lack of belief in yourself, lack of confidence. And I had a bit of a play around in my head on Sunday night, and I started to kind of dig around into where this first came from. And ironically, it came from the fact that I was very good at things. Okay, so when I was at school, when I was very young, it was apparent that I was very good at maths, I was very good at English, I was very athletic, and that didn't make me particularly popular, being very good. So I would pretend not to be good, or I would hide how good I was at things so that I fitted in, so that I didn't get adverse attention from classmates. And all of a sudden, that going from being really good at something turned into a self-belief that I was not very good at things, because I deliberately tried to hide it for the benefit of other people. So I'd given other people, even though we were all kids, I'd given them my power. And just acknowledging that, exploring it, was quite liberating. So it is, when you feel that you have a vulnerability, take some time and, in a non-judgmental, critical manner, have a look at it. Where does it stem from? Most importantly, you need to fact check. You need to make sure that what you've convinced your brain is actually true or false. You need to check it. Are you good at it? Are you capable? What have you achieved? And then list down all of your doubts, list down all of your achievements, and just see whether the lists not cancel each other out, because I bet they will. You know, take some time, write down any doubts that you have, every single one of them, about whatever project you're working on, whatever's rattling your cage, and then write the facts down beside it. What have you achieved? What can you do? What have you done? because we're not very good at saying how good we are. And that, as you can tell from this podcast, is where all my issues started from. Even when I was a child, I taught myself that I was not good at things because I was good at things, but being good at things didn't make you very popular. So it's really weird. The brain's an amazing thing. But it is fact check. Find your vulnerability and then we'll do some more work on it. So I hope that was interesting and I haven't waffled for ages about my issues. But we all have them. That's the thing. I'm a coach at the end of the day. I'm a mentor, but I'm a human and I have my own gremlins that come to bite me on the butt every now and again. But I have the tools to do it. I also have a little brother who kicked my ass on Sunday afternoon as well, which was particularly helpful. But like I say, it's finding out what your vulnerabilities are, accepting them, not hiding them, just as I don't want you to hide your strengths, not hiding them, and then doing work on them to cancel them out. Get your facts checked. Look at your list of doubts, look at your list of actual facts and achievements, and they'll cancel each other out. I bet you any money they will. Anyway, next podcast is going to do a little bit more work on that. So I will leave you there. You take care and I'll speak soon. Bye.